seller and buyer, highest bidder. And the buyer said, I'm happy to come up, but what I want is if I'm going to pay more, I want to keep all the garden bed pot plants and all the flowers that are in the backyard and on the side of the home. And the owner goes, we'll move into Melbourne, we're going to leave those in anyway, so agreed to it. So she paid another 20 grand, the deal got done, the inclusions got updated with all the pot plants. Now, the owners had paid themselves, had paid a removalist to do the whole move to Melbourne. The removalist came in and loaded the truck up with pot plants and drove down to Melbourne and met the people. And on the day of settlement, the person did a final inspection, the buyer. All of a sudden, they've stolen the pot plants. Agents in the middle, agents taking a $500 bottle of wine 2 weeks before the thing opened. Do you know what I mean? All of a sudden, something... It then comes out that the wine was given, the owners aren't happy, you've got an issue on your hands. Make sense? Okay. So guys, if we're getting a kickback or a discount, we just know under section 47 we need to disclose that.
What about if the agent's the one giving the gift?
To who?
To like the buyer or the vendor. You don't have to disclose that?
No comment. Because at the end of the day, we've got a fiduciary duty or a fiduciary obligation, which is a monetary trust towards our client. We act in their best interest. So I'm saying if someone was to give you a gift more than $60, it could arise a conflict. Yeah? We're just talking about conflict and reducing that happening, and that's why there's now $1 an hour. If the owner was to give you a gift, that's fine, because it's your client. Guys, we spoke about over the last couple of days about if an agent is selling their property, their own home, they need to disclose that they are selling their own home. And we usually disclose that as agent's interest. If you see agent's interest on a property, it means that the agent is selling their home or someone in the office's home, yeah, that they're, husband and wife or whatever it may be. And so another disclosure requirement I want to talk to you today about is called the Section 49. And the Section 49, guys, is a document that is consent for a real estate agent or salesperson obtaining a beneficial interest in the property. And what that states is that if an agent sells to a family member or to themselves, they need to get this document signed by the owner that basically giving them the consent to do so. I'll show you where it's listed in Section 49. In this section, a close relative is a spouse, an existing or former de facto partner, child, grandchild, sibling, parent, grandparent of the person. Yeah? Or any other person who has a relationship that expects to take a beneficial interest. Now, Georgia, if I was selling your home, yeah, you're my client, and I sold to my brother Ali, and I didn't tell you, how would you feel about it?
So you're the agent.
I'm the agent, you're the client, you're the vendor.
Yep.
I sold your home, you'd have entrusted me to get the best price for you, and I sold it to my brother and I don't tell you, and you find out about it later.
Not good.
Okay? You feel a bit it's underhanded? Yeah? What do you reckon, August? Alex? Anyone not have a problem with that?
What if you actually get more than that?
Well, that's it. I mean, yeah, if you're getting more than what they asked, then...
If you get a really good price,
If it was kind of,
yeah, that's fine. But because it's written in Section 49, we have to disclose it. Yeah? And guys, I'll give you an example. I did an auction years ago in Tempe. Property passed in for around, I think, 690,000. At the time, the owner wanted 750 grand. Yeah, that's what they wanted. So after the auction, the property was advertised for sale. And the property being advertised for sale meant that buyers would come and inspect it and go through the process that we did on day one. And this guy came in and inspected the property, took a contract for sale, and he then goes and makes an offer on the phone with the agent. The agent goes back between the buyer and seller, like I did with Ali and Johnny on day one, and gets an agreement in price. And the agreement in price is at $730,000. That's the agreement on the phone. Anyway, the agent invites the buyer and the seller to the office at 5 o'clock to sign contracts, receive a deposit, and exchange them. Anyway, the office is a bit like this, but there are cubicles that are 3/4 cubicles, meaning that the walls don't go to the ceiling. So, although I might not be able to see Johnny, I can hear what he's saying. Yeah, that's just to give you a bit of a visual on how the office is laid out. Anyway, the vendor turns up early and he's got a copy of the contract and he signs it with the agent. And they're sitting there and the agent makes him a coffee and he sits in one of the cubicles. And about 10 minutes later, the buyer walks in and he's already got a signed copy of the contract with the check attached. And the agent grabs it and goes, well, congratulations, I'm really happy for everyone. And the agent looks down and he sees that the contract is made out for the check is made out for 72,000, and the contract for sale was written out for 720. And he kind of doubts himself for a minute. He says to the buyer, he says, sorry, we confirmed on the phone at 730,000. And the buyer goes, yeah, we did. He goes, but I've changed my offer. And the agent goes, right. He goes, well, the owner's accepted 730, not 720. How do you think he's going to feel about that? And the buyer goes, I don't care. Tell him it's been changed. If he wants to do a deal, he'll need to change his expectation. Now, what would you be saying to this buyer right now? So, anyway, the buyer sits down and goes, I'll relate it to the owner. And he goes into the owner and he says, look, I'm really sorry, but this is what's happened. How do you want me to handle it? Because we'll just tell him, we've agreed at 730, take it or leave it. The agent goes back in and he says to the buyer, he says, Mr. Buyer, we agreed on 730,000 and it's so cheap at that level that I'll buy it as the agent. And the guy goes, 720 is my offer, just tell me, is it a yes or a no? So the agent goes back to the vendor and the vendor goes, get him at 725 and we'll do it. And so he goes back and he says to the buyer, I'll tell you what, against my recommendation, the owner's happy to meet you at 725. At that level, if you don't buy it, I'm definitely buying this property. The buyer goes, good, you buy it, and walks out. And the agent is red-faced. He's like, this has never happened, yeah? And he says to the owner, I'm really sorry, this has never happened in my whole career in real estate. Don't worry, bit of a weird occurrence, I'll find another buyer for you. And the vendor kind of laughs it off. He goes, what do you do? He goes, but can I ask you something, Mr. Agent? He goes, yeah, what? He goes, I overheard you say you'd purchase it. He goes, I'd be happy to sell it to you. And the agent goes, hang on a sec, let me ring my auctioneer. So he picks up the phone and I get this call and I get this story. And I said to the agent, I said, no problem. I said, you can buy it, right? But the first thing you need to do is you pay him 730,000. Yeah, not the 725. And the second thing you do is you sign this, which is a section 49, saying that you're obtaining an interest in the property. And the reason he had to sign this is because he had a signed agency agreement with the client. So he bought the property for 730,000. He charged the guy commission for selling the property, even though he bought it. He got the section 49 signed, and 6 months later that property was worth over $1 million. Can you see why we got the section 49 signed in that instance? So there's no recourse on the agent. The same goes, guys, in the example I gave Georgia. I sell to my brother. I need to disclose it. It's a beneficial interest. Blood relation. Now, if Madeline and I went to school together and I haven't seen Madeline for 10 years and she walks in and buys a property, do I need to disclose that? Beneficial interest. Yeah. So the relationship as per the Property Stock and Agents Act, section 49, if you want to research it a bit later today, have a read through it. Okay, so we've got a couple of things that we've been disclosing today, guys. And I want to speak to you today about being a fiduciary. Yeah. Sure. No. No. It's when it's if.
A lot of things happen on the table waiting for us, isn't it? That's what most of the deals happen.
Oh, of course, but with the client, that's fine. What it is it's in the transaction itself. Is if I get a gift or